What's going on, guys? I feel like it's been a while since I did a video like this, but I want to just talk a little bit about some skills that I think can help you be a better programmer. And these aren't really technical skills about learning languages and frameworks and so on, but more high level skills, or you could even say like traits or characteristics that you can start to think about so that you can work on to become a great programmer. And these aren't like natural given, birth given talents or anything. I mean, they can be, but they're also things that you can attain and get good at. So the first one is really important. I would say maybe even the most important, and that's having patience. Now, when I say that, a lot of you are probably like, "Well, shit, I'm not patient," and I don't mean just an overall generalized patience. Because if you talk to anybody that knows me, that is close to me, my family, friends, and if you ask them if I'm patient, they'll laugh at you. I'm very impatient when it comes to traffic or standing in line at the supermarket or dealing with like rude people and stuff like that. I have no tolerance, no patience for that. So you could say I'm not very tolerant of a lot of things. But what I'm talking about is more of a patience for learning, for being able to kind of be immersed in what you're doing and not let things distract you, and enjoy what you're doing, which I'll talk about in a little bit, but more in a technical sense related to programming and just related to learning and focusing. For instance, if you're debugging, you have some error that you've been working on for hours. That's very frustrating. Even if you're the most passionate programmer in the world, that is very frustrating to deal with. But you have to learn to just kind of sit with yourself and not get really worked up and aggravated about it, and just really focus. And sometimes that means stepping away for a while. Most of the big issues that I run into, I'll work on for a few hours and get frustrated. I'll leave and come back a little while later and I'll just get it. So things like that, you have to learn to be patient in terms of learning and programming. And the next one I think kind of wraps into that, and that's motivation. So if you're motivated, then dealing with those issues, it won't be as bad because you enjoy what you're doing. And when I say motivation, you could say passion, you could say ambition. There's a lot of different words. I don't mean like live, breathe, and sleep programming, because that's definitely not what I'm suggesting, because that will burn you out real quick. And not too many people are like that, right? There's other things in life. And I know with all the hustle porn and stuff like that it's online, on YouTube, on Twitter, you're probably seeing it all the time, and it makes you feel like, oh, I'm supposed to be working all the time, 24/7. And that's just not true. There's other things in life. There's relationships, some of us have kids, and there's hobbies outside of programming. So you don't want it to consume your life. That's not what being passionate means. To me, being passionate or being motivated just means that you have a genuine interest in what you're doing. So, before I even got into programming, I basically, sucked at every job I had. Not sucked, but I didn't care. I didn't put any effort into it because I had no motivation. I was doing it for a paycheck. And that's not the way to go, because you're not going to be successful if you have zero motivation and you're just doing it for the money. There's plenty of other things that you could do that are easier for money. So you have to have some kind of motivation to go to work every day, to focus, to be able to problem solve, to have patience. And you're not going to feel, super motivated 24/7, like some of the self-help people kind of make you think you have to feel. But you should have some interest in it. You shouldn't be looking at the clock every 5 minutes to see when you're going home. If you're doing that, then something's off, something's wrong, and you really need to maybe take some time off, or I don't know, do something to kind of re-energize yourself. So I think motivation is really important for just about everything else on this list. The next is problem solving, and programming is it's not about memorization like a lot of newcomers think. I used to think it was about memorization, it was about math, and it's really not. I mean, the math thing, it's kind of a big misconception. it is needed to do some types of programming, some real low level stuff. But I know a lot of you guys watching this are web developers or aspiring web developers, and there's really not a lot of math that goes into it, but there is a lot of problem solving. And if you're good at math, that probably means you're decent at just being logical and solving problems. So it does help, but you don't use a lot of math. I mean, for me, I have trouble helping my eighth grade daughter with her math homework. And it's something that I know I could do if I really sat down and thought about it and did research. Because what you really want to know is how to learn, not just a specific thing. So even that math stuff, I know I could figure it out if I took the time to research and all that, but I'm not all that interested in math. So that's where the motivation comes in. If you're motivated to program, then you're going to be motivated to look things up and learn and so on. I mean, I think just Googling stuff is a skill on its own when it comes to programming. There's a certain way to look for solutions to problems, to find code that is, obviously it's not going to be identical to yours, but to look at it and try to figure it out and see if you can come up with a solution from looking at that other piece of code. And sometimes it might not even be in the same language. You might have an issue in JavaScript, but all you can find is something in Python. You have to kind of decipher it and replace certain methods and stuff like that. That's the skill you want. It's not memorization. It's not how to you don't have to memorize all the syntax or anything like that. But it's more about just being able to solve problems. So the next one is communication skills, and this is one that I have struggled with just my whole entire life. I have social anxiety. I was a real shy kid. I didn't grow up like nobody really taught me how to work in the professional world. You know what I mean? I got into drugs and alcohol when I was young, so I had kind of a troubled life up until I started programming. So it was hard for me to adapt to the professional world. I started freelancing. It was hard to kind of deal with clients. I hated when they wanted to talk on the phone or come in. I enjoyed just, communicating through email was fine for me, but it's not always fine for your clients. So you need to learn how to communicate with people. My first dev job, it was easier on me because I actually worked with some really cool people that were easy to get along with and communicate with. And it can be different depending on, the people you work with. If you work with a bunch of arrogant dicks, that's really unfortunate. But you need to know how to communicate your own ideas, how to listen to other people's ideas, and how to come up with solutions and problem solve with other people, which can be very beneficial. When you have other people's input, it can really, really help you out. So communication, I think it's overlooked a lot because of the kind of stereotype of some guy in the closet by himself on working on a server or something, and not having to talk to the outside world. That's just not how it is. You're on teams now, very diverse teams with different personalities, different people from different backgrounds. You have to know how to communicate with them and work together. So the last one is willingness to learn. I think this is really, really important because technology is constantly changing. If you're the type of person that thinks you're going to, go through school and learn something and then get a job and that's that, you just work your 9 to 5 and not have to think, that's not really how programming or any kind of technology job works, because things are always changing. It moves very fast. So even if your company, uses the same stack, same technologies, those get updated constantly, and there's new things added that you have to keep learning. So it's great if you have like an excitement to learn and you want to learn new stuff, but we don't always feel like that 24/7. So you at least have to have a willingness to learn and learn new things. And it doesn't matter how long you've been doing this. I don't care if you've been a programmer for 30 years. You're going to have to just keep learning as things change. I mean, I've been doing this for 13, 14 years, and I learn something new every day. And sometimes it's from someone that has been coding for like 6 months, or like a 22-year-old YouTuber that just started. I learn stuff from. So don't ever look down on people and think you can't learn anything from them because they don't have as much of experience as you do, because they might have more experience in a certain area. And there's always something you can learn, and you should never look down on anybody in any way, especially newcomers. Imposter syndrome is a huge thing in this industry, and you being more experienced helping them out and making them feel comfortable just makes this whole area, this whole industry a better place. So always try to help people out when you can. But that's it, guys. I think those 5 things, if you work on those, it will really help you become a better programmer, regardless of language, framework, or whatever else you're trying to learn. But that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.